So, magandang gabi po ulit sa inyong lahat at nandito ulit ako para mag-discuss ng panabago nating topic tungkol sa developing SQL databases. At ang topic ko po ay patungkol sa effects of constraints on DML statement. So, sabi dito, the effects of constraints on DML statement module, it provides us with instruction and devices to develop our hands-on skills on the following topics. So, there are two topics na mako-cover natin for tonight. Number 1 is enforcing data integrity with constraints. And yung number 2 is yung ignoring constraint using bulk insert. Na malalaman natin mamaya kung ano nga ba yung mga uses nila and definitions nila. So, next tayo. So, by the way po pala, ano nga ba yung tinatawag natin DML statement? So, ang DML ay short for Data Manipulation Language. Ano nga ba yung use niya? It is a computer programming language. It is used for adding or inserting, deleting, and modifying or updating data in a database. So, proceed tayo with the exercise 1. So, exercise 1, it tackles about enforcing data integrity with constraint. So, may dalawang topic dito, yung primary key and yung foreign key. So, i-differentiate muna natin kung ano yung primary key and foreign key. So, yung primary key is used to ensure data in the specific column is a unique. So, while a foreign key naman is a column or group of columns in a relational database table that provides a link between data in two table. So, apart daw from primary and foreign key constraints, there are two more types naman ng constraint. Ito yung check and unique. So, ano nga ba yung check? Sabi dito, check constraint is using a boolean expression. Anong pag sinabing boolean? Ito yung it's either true or false. So, along with the logical operators. So, you can create naman a unique constraint on a column to ensure the non-entry of duplicate values. So, the constraints can be created on any columns apart from the primary key column. The columns with unique constraints can accept, always remember, can accept null values. So, before we proceed to task 1, sabi dito, in this exercise, we will learn to enforce data integrity with various constraints. We will view the effect of these constraints when used with various data manipulation language. So, statement. So, task 1, enforce data integrity with primary key and foreign key. So, in this task, we will view the effects of the insert and delete statement on an existing table. So, una, gagawa tayo ng table. Ang papangalan natin dito ay yung dim employee underscore table with a primary key constraint. So, the primary key constraint ensures that the value in the respective primary key column is unique and it is not null. So, proceed tayo. Step 1, ensure you have powered on the required devices and connect to Flab SQL 1. So, we did it already. So, step 2 tayo. From the Flab SQL 1 desktop, click Start and click Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. So, ito yon. Click natin ito. Then, the Connect to Server dialog was appears. From the server type drop-down list, click Database Engine. So, in the server name, type natin Flab SQL 1. So, take note, minsan lang lumalabas is 02, then we will change it to 01. Then, connect. And step 3, the SQL Server Management Studio windows open. So, sa Object Explorer, the Object Explorer, click to expand the database folder. Expand daw natin ito. Alright. And step 4, to select the database from the list, click natin yung AdventureWorks DW 2016 CTP3. Ayan. Okay? So, create tayo ng bago nating query. Bukasan lang natin ito. Okay? Ayan. Ayan. So, step 5. Ito na yung nag-open na yung ating query. So, step 6 tayo. Type the following query. So, type muna natin ito before natin i-explain. So ano nga ba ito yung ano ba yung tinype natin? So in the given query, it creates an employee table with the respective fields. So the table imposes a primary key constraint on the employee ID field. So proceed tayo step 7, run natin ito. F5 and command completed successfully. Proceed tayo with step 8. So to define a foreign key on the employee table, type the following query on the query pane. So gawa tayo ulit panabago natin query. Type natin ito, alter table, dim employee table. Alright. Yan. So dito sa kinopy-paste natin, so the query defines the parent employee key field on the table dim employee underscore table as the foreign key. So the foreign key refers the primary key employee ID of dim employee table. So F5 natin or tira natin ulit ito. And may message na command completed successfully. So let's proceed with step 9. So to insert data in the dim employee underscore table, type the following query. So create tayo ulit ng panibago natin. Alright, so in this given query, it inserts appropriate values into the respective field. So please note, the query insert a null value in the foreign key as the employee ID1, holds the designation CTO and does not report to anyone. And then step 7 tayo. To view the effect of the foreign key, constraints execute an insert statement that inserts a record with foreign key value referencing a non-existent primary key column value. So tingnan natin. So yan, ito yung nung nira natin, nakalagay 1 rows affected. So create tayo ng panibago nating query. Type natin ito. Alright, so in this given query, it inserts a record with the foreign key value 10 that does not exist in the primary key column. So press F5 tayo to execute. Then, yan. The statement has been terminated. So the query terminates and the following error is thrown. So note, the error is likely to thrown because you have tried to insert the value in 10 in the foreign key column that does not exist. So hindi nag-exist itong number na tinype natin. So the primary key column employee ID, you can also insert employee records that are linked to an existing employee. So next tayo. So step 11 tayo. So enter a different employee record with the employee ID 2 that reference the employee ID 1. So create tayo ng panibago nating query. Oops. Alright, so in this given query, it inserts the employee record with the employee ID 2. So please notice that this query links the employee ID 2 with the employee ID 1. So by setting the foreign key value as 1, this indicates that the employee with the employee 2 reports to employee with the employee ID 1. So F5 natin, proceed natin. And yan, 1 rows affected na naman. So find the message, 1 rows affected the message window. So proceed tayo with step 11. So to view the records inserted into the table employee, type the following query. Okay, wait muna tayo. So ayan, then execute natin. Ayan, so take note that the parent employee key foreign key of employee 1 ID is null and the employee 2 is 1. Okay, as you can see, ito yung null, yung 1 employee ID 1 natin, and yung employee ID number 2 natin is 1 siya. Okay, so we are doing it right. So step 13 tayo. To view the effect of the primary key constraints, type the following query that insert a record with the duplicate employee ID. So, create tayo ng panibago. Then, i-run natin. So, yun. The statement has been terminated. So, bakit kaya? So, sabi dito, a primary key constraint violation error is thrown. So, this demonstrates the effect of defining a primary key constraint. So, note, a primary key constraint does not allow you to insert duplicate values into the respective column. So, meaning, na nag-insert tayo ng hindi naman siya involved. So, nag-insert pala tayo or nag-duplicate tayo ng isang value na hindi naman involved dun sa data natin. So, step 14 tayo. To view the effect of the foreign key constraint when a delete operation is performed, execute the following delete statement that deletes the record that has foreign key linked to it. So, create tayo na panibagong query. Alright, so run natin. So, the statement has been terminated. So, the query terminates with the foreign key constraint violation error. So, ano yung violation error natin? So, the query deletes a record with the employee ID value 1 violating the foreign key constraint. So, the record with the employee ID 1 is linked to another record in the same table through the foreign key, parent employee key, hence the query terminates with an error. So, proceed tayo sa task 2. So, enforce the data integrity using the check constraint. So, in this task, we will modify the dim employee underscore table to define a check constraint naman. So, the check constraint will define a condition to check whether the given value for the hire date column is not execute an insert statement. So, to verify and view the working of the check constraint. So, step 1 tayo. Create tayo pa na bagong query. Ayan. So, sabi dun sa dito sa kinapin natin, so in this given query, it alters the dim employee underscore table to add a check constraint name ck underscore hard date on the hire column date. So, the check constraint enforces an integrity rule by imposing a check condition. The constraint allows inserting of records only if the value supplied for the hire date column is greater than the current date. So, i-run natin ito. So, command completed successfully. So, meaning, it shows the successful execution daw nung tinype natin query. So, step 2 tayo. To view the newly created check constraint on the SQL Server Management Studio, expand database AdventureWorks DWL 2016. Ano lang natin to? Adjust natin. Okay. So, expand daw natin ito. And then, tables, then dim employee underscore table. So, hanapin natin. So, ito, dbo.dim employee table. So, expand natin ito. And then, may makikita tayong constraint. So, find the newly created check constraint seeker hard displayed. Ayan. So, right-click each hard and from the context menu, click modify. So, right-click natin. And then, modify. Alright. Yan. So, to check constraint dialog box opens on the left pane, ensure seeker hard date is selected on the right pane. So, yan. And then, on the right pane, find the expression for the check condition that you define on seeker hard date constraint. Yan. Okay. So, clear. Then proceed tayo. Step 5, to verify the working CK hard date constraint. Create tayo na panibago nating query. So for the purpose of this demonstration, the given insert query inserts a date value into hard date column that is greater than the current date. So run natin ito. And the statement has been terminated. So violation of primary key constraint tayo. So yan. So task 3 tayo. We will enforce data integrity using the unique constraint. Kanina check, ngayon unique na tayo. So in this task, we will create a table name fact employee rating underscore table. So you will then add a unique constraint on the respective columns the fact employee rating table. So step 1 tayo. Create tayo ng panibago nating query. And type natin ito. Alright, so in this given query, it creates table statement, creates a table name fact employee rating underscore table. So the query defines the appropriate columns and imposes primary key constraint on the ID field. So please note, ID is an identified field that auto increments whenever the table. So run na natin. And by lalabas na, statement has been terminated. So step 2 tayo. To insert records into newly created table, type the following insert statement. So create tayo. And this given insert statement, it inserts the rating details from the employee whose employee ID is 1 for the year 2010, 12, and 12. So press F5 natin. Run. And then yan, invalid object name fact employee table. So yan. So step 3 tayo. To verify the working of the unique constraint, type the following statement that updates the record whose employee ID value is 2. So create tayo. So in this given update daw statement, it updates the employee ID and the year of review fields with the duplicate values. Ay run natin. Yan. So, sabi dito, unique constraint violation error na naman. So the update statement likely inserted a duplicate value into the year of review and the employee ID fields, violating the imposed unique constraint. So next tayo. So ating last step naman is yung exercise number 2, ignoring constraint using bulk order. So ano nga ba yung bulk insert bulk insert pala na tinatawag natin? So a bulk insert is a process or method provided by a database management system to load multiple rows of data into the database table. So SQL Server allows you to import a data file into a database table. So you can perform a bulk import using the bulk insert statement. So the bulk insert statement ignores check and foreign key constraint. Yan. So step 1 tayo. Task 1 pala. So task 1 natin is yung ignore constraint using bulk insert. So in this task, we will insert data from a text file into a target table imposed with the check constraint using the bulk insert statement. Yan, step 1 tayo. Create tayo ng panibago nating query. And list down natin ito. So in this given query, it creates a table named bulk underscore import in the AdventureWorks DW2016 CTV3. So execute natin. And command completed successfully. It shows the successful completion of the execution. Step 2, create a text file to contain records that needs to be imported into bulk import. So, open Windows Explorer natin. Wait lang, check ko if nakikita siya. Hindi. Wait lang. Ayan, as you can see, ito yung ating folder. So, open Windows Explorer, right click on the blank area, and from the context menu, click New and Text Document. So, dito sa blank area natin, create tayo ng new folder. Yan. And type down natin yung text document. Rename natin. Text document. So, step 3, in the text box that appears, type the text file name as test. Test pala, sorry. Ayan, so ayan, nakagawa na tayo ng test.text natin. So, double click yung ginawa natin and file to open it. Then, check natin. Ayan. Nakikita ba? Oh, hindi. Wait lang. Dagdag ulit ako. Panibagong window. Ayan. So, ito yung note, ito yung so, ito yung lumabas. Ito yung ating notepad from galing dun sa text.text file open. So, type the following natin ito. Yan. So, take note, you need to separate the field values with commas. So, the new rows need to be inserted at the file new line. So, save and close the file natin. Save muna natin. Save and close the file. Alright. And wait lang, medyo magulo. Sorry. Ayan. So, step 5, navigate the SSMS to open. Click tayo na panibago nating query. And type the following query tayo. Then, so sabi dito, the query bulk inserts a data from the text file into the bulk import table. Okay? So, the query specifies the field terminator as comma and row terminator as new line. So, F5 natin. Execute pala natin rather. So, cannot bulk load. So, the text file does not exist. So, step 6 tayo. Define a check constraint name CKID. So, to check constraint in process supplied for the ID is greater than 10. So, kita na panibago nating query. And execute natin. So, command completed successfully. Step 7 to navigate to see in the Windows Explorer, open text file. Then, wait lang. Hindi pala siya nakikita sa screen. Ayan, so mag-enter ulit tayo na panibago nating record. So, yung 11 kay Cathy, yung 9 kay Bob. Alright, then save and close the file. Save natin. Close the file. Okay. Yan. So, step 8 to navigate tayo sa menu. Click tayo na panibago nating query. And type natin ito. So in this given query, it imports data from the text file into the bulk order, bulk underscore import table. So F5 natin. So cannot bulk loader. So although the value, the ID field of the port record in the text file violates the check constraint, so the constraint is ignored and the bulk insert statement inserts the record in the bulk import table. So sa step 9 tayo, to identify the imported table rows that violate constraints, check the imported data manually by typing the following query. So create tayo panibagong query ulit. Check natin ito. Yan. So, run natin. So, ayan, the result window displays the selected records. So, step 10 tayo. Kuwitan ng panibago nating. Wait lang. To check the working, sige, check the constraint. To manually enter records into the bulk import table in the Object Explorer under Databases under Table. Right click on the table and from the context menu, click Edit 200 rows. Then, click Edit Top 200 rows. Edit Top 200 rows. Ayan. So, the data editor windows open the right pane. Keep the cursor at the last row in the editor. Type the following values into respective field.